Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 359 Podcast. It's episode 467 on Tuesday, October 2nd. And before we get started, we want to send a special shout-out to our friend of the show, APEC. He's having surgery this morning. We want him to know that he's in our thoughts, and please have him in your thoughts or your prayers or whatever channel you go down. We're thinking of you, buddy. Thanks for being such a good friend for so long, and we wish you a speedy recovery. And until then, let's get on with the show. Here's Ben and Roger.
Hey.
Hi.
Happy
Good luck,
Tuesday.
APEC.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're going to be talking a little bit about the OnePlus 6T, the upcoming flagship phone, probably released in the next few weeks, sometime this month. We'll also be talking about Verizon's 5G home service. It launched yesterday, but we'll talk about the sort of fine print on the limitations of that launch. And then lastly, we'll talk about Amazon raising the minimum wage for its workers.
Yes.
So if you have any questions on any of these stories, leave them in the comments section. Brian will pick out the best, and we will get to them in 3 minutes and 59 seconds.
From 3, 2...
Welcome to the 359. I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Ben Fox-Rubin.
CNET's Lin Law got an exclusive interview with OnePlus CEO Pete Lau, who broke down his decision to include the in-screen fingerprint sensor but remove the headphone jack, which is a controversial move. It'll be the first phone in the U.S. Sold in the U.S. through a carrier with an in-displayed fingerprint sensor. But is it worth it to lose the headphone jack, Ben?
I like the idea of an in-screen fingerprint sensor more than getting rid of the headphone jack for additional speakers. Because I know that's what Apple did, and I'm kind of like, well, how much do I actually use those speakers anyway? Like sometimes for speakerphone, but otherwise it's not like I'm like blasting out music, like using that. So that to me feels like it could be good.
It's a good trade-off for you?
Potentially. I don't know. I'd like to try it out. What do you think?
The phone is also a little bit thicker. I like the idea of an in-screen fingerprint sensor, and I've got an iPhone 10 that has no headphone jack, so I've been kind of used to it. I have Bluetooth headphones. OnePlus actually released these OnePlus like Bullet Bluetooth headphones earlier this year, so they've clearly been getting people ready for this.
Why can't we just have it all?
All right, so Verizon yesterday officially launched its 5G home service. Installation began yesterday, but after talking with one of the network executives yesterday, I got a sense of just how limited this would be. This is, as a reminder, in 4 cities: LA, Sacramento, Indianapolis, and Dallas. But I found out even within those cities, it's a few neighborhoods, and it's using this proprietary 5G technology that they're not actually going to be expanding. They're not going to actually roll that out to any more. What the few markets that are involved with the commercial launch now are like, that's all we're going to get for this year.
I'm also curious, like, how close is this to actual 5G? Because this is not the industry standard 5G that we're expecting later.
Right. And
so is this closer to like 4G or is it closer to 5G?
It's a great question. It's definitely more similar to 5G. It uses that super high frequency radio airwaves to broadcast huge amounts of bandwidth. So it's definitely more akin to 5G. In fact, really all they really need to do is put out a software update next year to get onto the standard. So it's not a huge tweak, but it means that if you were looking to get 5G home and you're not eligible, then you're basically stuck with waiting until next year, until they actually roll out the industry standard and actually expand the service elsewhere.
Okay, when does the industry standard hit mobile phones though?
We're looking at AT&T is looking to launch later this year, but it's probably going to be very limited, just like what Verizon's doing. I'd expect broader adoption next year, but even then it's going to be kind of sporadic, and then it's going to be more broadly available 2020.
And if you're an Apple customer, expect it to show up
whenever
in 2035.
iPhone 20. All right, lastly, let's talk about Amazon. The company has been under fire for the wages and treatment of its workers, but today responded by raising its minimum wage to $15 in the U.S. Ben, is this enough?
Well, that's really like the Fight for 15 movement has really been pushing for $15 an hour. So this should definitely quell some of the critics from Amazon. Right. Bernie Sanders, who has been a very prominent and loud critic to Amazon about this, he said, let's give credit where credit is due. Jeff Bezos did exactly the right thing, according to him. So as far as one of the biggest critics is concerned, they feel like this is a pretty good move, and they're calling on other major corporations to do the same thing.
Right, they're advocating for this $15 federal minimum wage level, right?
Yeah, they're calling on Walmart to do the same thing. Fast food companies like McDonald's. So we'll see who else ends up moving closer to that $15 an hour.
All right, for our full coverage, check us out on CNET. I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
Thanks for listening.
Do 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 do.
Thanks whoever had me on backup there.
You got it.
I
That was
wasn't
Ben.
ready.
That was
You
all
always,
Ben.
the dismount goes too fast for me sometimes.
I was doing my best Mariah Carey impression.
Gross.
Oh, that's terrible, terrible.
I stand by that.
So anyway, yeah, it's time to go ahead and submit your questions and comments so we can keep the conversation going. Right out the gate, let's take one from Timothy. He says, what's the next analog for the headphone jack, USB-C or a different port coming up next these days, or are those days completely over?
Yeah, and by the way, is OnePlus going to provide like some sort of dongle in case you, like everybody else, has like a million of these?
I don't know. That's a really good question.
Yeah, because Apple
we'll
gave
see.
up. Apple gave up on the
That's right.
dongle
They
for
are-
its newest
They're
iPhones.
dongle-less.
Yeah.
I still have my dongles somewhere. I haven't lost them yet.
So I have an iPhone 8 for work, and I have the Lightning jack headphones that I never use. They're just like, I have one of those, and then I have all these other headphones with headphone jacks, and like, as long as I have the dongle somewhere, and I've
You're
like
okay.
must have dropped it or misplaced it or accidentally swallowed it a bunch of times, but yeah, as long as that's there, we're okay.
Swallowed it. Well, yeah. So, I mean, they're going to rely on the USB-C port for the connection, but yeah, in terms of dongles, who knows?
Yeah.
Next question comes from Alex Mitchell. I know people love the headphone jack, but if it makes more room for battery, I'll take it. Personally switched to wireless music years ago. That's really more of a statement than a question, sorry. I myself have switched to wireless largely, but I like having the option because I have these really nice mixing headphones that sometimes I like to like review some of the mixes and masters I've done as an audio engineer on my phone, but that's a very niche thing. I get it. I mean, we run the joke into the ground because that's what we do here. But yeah, I guess what's your final real takeaway, guys?
I've learned to live without headphone jack. I've had Bluetooth headphones for a while. If it meant having this on-screen fingerprint reader, I'm all for it, frankly.
I know I'm probably
I
going to get forced.
I want one for an iPhone and for Samsung phones too.
I have a Samsung phone as my personal phone now that it has a headphone jack. I'm not switching that phone for at least another year or two. So, but I'm now aware of the fact that at some point I'm going to be forced to switch over and probably do like Bluetooth headphones or something, which is probably fine.
Yeah.
You know, so I do go out running once a season. And it would be nice to have it would be nice to have like, you know, like wireless or like Bluetooth headphones for something like that.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah.
I wonder what else would you trade for the sake of the in-screen fingerprint touch? Like, where's the cutoff?
I don't know. Would you trade like water resistance for that?
I would
or-
trade the
Why
screen.
trade?
You
Why
trade
trade?
the screen.
I trade the screen for an
No.
in-screen fingerprint
No,
touch.
we
So
shouldn't
it
be
would just be
required
like
to trade.
a kind of a gray slate kind of backing there, and you just stare at that.
Yeah, I just want Apple to hear me for once. I want you to eliminate the screen, screenless phone. Like, let's go
So
minimalist.
you're talking about just the regular like cord phone,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like one of those old phones.
And they'll charge you more for it.
Yeah. It'll be aluminum.
I want the rotary to scan my finger and understand that it's me.
I don't think there should be a trade-off. While I get it from OnePlus why they needed the additional room for it, and the headphone jack it does take up quite a bit of space. That's why Apple got rid of it too. That's why the Google Pixel got rid of it. These phones are getting increasingly more expensive. So why force customers into making a decision as far as like one or the other?
Well, to be fair, we don't have a price on this phone yet, but it's rumored to be around $550, which is significantly lower than your iPhone 10 or your Galaxy S9, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. It's not the OnePlus is claimed to be this premium phone at less than lower than premium price, and for the most part, they've generally done it right. They've got sort of the top tier processor. The specs are usually fairly high end, but yeah, you can see some trade offs, right? It's not it's not IP water resistant, dust resistant. They say it is water resistant, but it's not like IP rated, so it's not like officially rated. It still doesn't have wireless charging, so there's still a few things that it's missing out on. It's not exactly the full-fledged super phone that
Yeah. And we'll see.
Samsung and Apple make.
We'll see how much of a splash it makes in the U.S. because this is the first time that they're going to be getting a major carrier.
That's right.
Connected to them with T-Mobile. Obviously, they're ascendant. They're doing better than they used to after years of work. But they're also not AT&T or Verizon, which are the top two. So
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think this can only help OnePlus. I mean, it's always an extra set of challenges when you have to optimize a phone specifically for a carrier. But I think for T-Mobile customers looking to get the OnePlus, I think this is the best way to get it because this will be a phone optimized for some of the specific bands that T-Mobile runs on. So that means better coverage, higher speeds, and just better service overall for a phone that's optimized for the network.
Nice.
Yeah.
Next question comes in from Alex Mitchell. I know people love the headphone jack. Oh, sorry, we already covered that one. I'm out of place. Timothy Dew, how will the screen protector affect the in-display sensor?
Ooh, it's unclear at this point. I think it should be fine. I imagine they took that into account when putting the in-screen fingerprint sensor there.
You mean like that sticker that you put over? If your fingerprint can get read through glass,
So
I'm pretty sure it can get read through like a little piece of plastic.
They haven't confirmed it, but what I suspect is this is because some of its sister companies have used the technology. They use optical fingerprint sensors, which basically shines the light up a little bit and it actually reads the image of the fingerprint. So having an extra layer doesn't really affect anything if it's transparent. So it shouldn't be an issue.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go.
Hello. Oh.
Next up from James.
Dooby-dooby-doo.
Thicker phone, does that mean a bigger battery?
I don't think so. It's still kind of unclear. I don't think he broached that subject of battery life, so we'll find out. Hopefully it means a bigger battery, but I think the way he made the comment, the thickness was really attributed to the sensor. Yeah, I want more battery too.
From Waleed, why does OnePlus have a similar notch design like the iPhone? Why not something more innovative? I'm calling it next.
Why
Side notch.
indeed? Why indeed?
Well, it's because no one's really figured out how to do how to embed a camera into the front of the phone without,
That sounds
obscuring
really hard.
I mean, the one we've seen is that weird prototype one with not prototype, but the pop-up camera, which always kind of freaked me out because it felt like a part that would break very easily.
Oh yeah. Accidentally knock it into a wall.
Yeah.
I think that the thing with the notches is that it's become shorthand for premium or kind of like an attractive design. As much as I don't like it, it's just kind of this is the next level that we've reached to. Yeah.
Google's doing it. LG did it already. Samsung's the only one that's been resistant. But if you look at it, like the bezels on the top and bottom are kind of look at it, you're like, I kind of wish there was
really
less.
Okay.
I don't know about the notch thing, but it's like you said, it's become shorthand for a premium phone. Apple set the agenda or set the standard for what a premium phone looks like, and as usual, a lot of companies are just sort of crowding in there.
And I definitely feel like from what the person was mentioning is it would be nice to see a little bit more diversity as far as design is concerned.
Absolutely.
And we probably are going to get there, I hope, eventually. We're not going to be stuck with the notch, I think, for years and years and years. That would really surprise me. But where exactly we're going to go after the notch, I have no idea. I think getting the camera embedded behind the glass to me sounds really difficult. And having a pop-up camera, I just feel like a lot of people would be really uncomfortable with that.
The pop-up camera to me is sort of a temporary solution. I think getting the camera beneath the glass, and we have seen companies patent that kind of technology. I think Apple actually has a patent for that. That doesn't mean they'll actually implement it, but that's sort of the direction that I think it will have to go to get just everything to be all screen. You're just holding a big screen at some point.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's Johnny Ive's ultimate goal.
Oh, yeah.
And he's talked about that a lot, where it's just a simple sheet of glass and apparently even see-through, which I can't imagine how you're supposed to make a battery see-through, but maybe we'll get there.
Or processor.
Yeah.
Or anything. Or
all
the wires.
stuff. Right.
Yeah.
Do we have a tolerance level for the kind of notch that we're seeing out there? I've been seeing terms like eye drop and water drop being tossed around. I'm not familiar with these design changes because I have a phone.
Is that like
doesn't
the
have a notch.
essential one?
Wait, you talking like the thickness of the notch?
I that's what I assume this is in reference to. Is like a
Yeah.
style or design, the amount of occupation that the notch has. What do we think is like the cutoff point, or are we a zero tolerance show?
I have an iPhone 10, so I'm pretty tolerant of my notch at this point. It kind of like fades into the background for the most part.
Yeah, you can kind of like just.
I think the Essential
Not think
probably
about
had best, right? That the little tiny notch at the. I mean, it's a single camera though, and so you're seeing companies put out multiple camera systems. Obviously, Face ID is run by a significantly more sophisticated front-facing camera system, so it needs to be a little bit thick or wider, and I'm okay with that. Like if it means I could do portrait mode selfies, I'm cool with the extra notch width.
Yeah. I mean, like you've had that phone for like a year now,
Yeah.
and it doesn't really seem to bother you that much. So yeah, I if I had a notch phone, I'd probably like not notice it after a while. But I'll keep.
Here's the
I'll
thing.
keep with my Luddite lifestyle of headphone jack and no notch. So
Well, here's the thing with a lot of these phones, the dimensions, the screen ratio are far longer than a normal video format. So even when you're watching a video on your iPhone or Samsung phone, there are black bars on the left and right, and so usually the black bars are where the notch is. So it doesn't really obscure your video experience.
Do we think that there is a conspiracy out there to kill the headphone jack and boost Bluetooth technology? Continuing on, the company that is in fact benefiting from the wireless headphone trend is Bluetooth. Is that a
that's
monopoly?
not a company.
Yeah,
It's
well,
not a company.
Bluetooth
it's a
is-
technology.
Yeah,
That's
well,
like
it's
a
not,
standard.
It's a standards body. There's like a group that meets, like a group of engineers that meets and agrees on standards. It's not a company. It doesn't really benefit. I mean, I guess it does benefit from adoption from a kind of, I don't know, from a
Yeah, because who sits on that
holistic
board?
level.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's more the companies that are selling you Bluetooth accessories are benefiting. So, and there is probably some truth to that. I mean, look, I think there are some physical issues with headphone jacks that's why I understand why they're removed, but I don't think there's like a grand conspiracy.
I would be very interested to find out if there was like some sort of cabal that was meeting that was like dead set on getting rid of the
Anti-headphone jack group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the headphone jack folks, because the headphone jack has been around for so long, are all like very old and crotchety and don't know what's actually being done to them. I unfortunately, it goes back to the same thing with like Apple, where Apple set a standard
Yeah.
and then everybody else
Yeah.
followed suit. So Apple
and-
was the first one to do it, and a lot of people complained.
One indication that there isn't this like cabal of, headphone jack haters is the way the way headphone jacks have been eliminated like progressively over phases. Like Apple did it first, everyone kind of crapped on them, and then Google did it like a year later, and then Samsung continues to have the headphone jack, and they're crapping on everyone. All these other companies that had crapped on Apple have now basically phased out their headphone jacks as well. So it's done. Like if it was more coordinated, I feel like that would be proof of a conspiracy. But I don't know why I'm even like. I'm like offering a very serious answer to this question, but really,
No, I
there isn't a
appreciate it.
conspiracy.
Those are some good facts.
Yeah.
This is a facts-based show.
Hang on, I'm digging for the Illuminati graphic to try to
There we-
bring up.
There we go.
Let's just put a kibosh on it. The Bluetooth technology works perfectly fine. It's great. I use it. I use sleep headphones at night, so it's like a sleep mask with speakers built in, so I can fall asleep to like nature sounds.
Fancy.
Gale force winds, by the way, works every time.
Hold on. I feel like I've read that having like an actual headphone jack, like wired headphones, are supposed to like sound better.
Yeah, see, that's where I'm getting at, though. Like, with the headphones like that, the trade-off is I had several wired ones before, and I rolled over and broke like 7 of them.
Yeah.
So I finally went wireless. There is plenty of benefits to the technology. We're talking about fidelity. Let's be honest, most of us are listening to lossy quality audio and video, compressed audio and video on our phones. It's just more convenient that way. It carries over 4G better. For those of us who are audiophiles, or those who are musicians like Carlos, talking about using them with his guitar and drums and piano sounds and doing mixes and masters and projects like that, live music, myself included. Sometimes you want that extra boost. That's why I still enjoy having the option in case I'm actually using my phone as an interface for something. Is it that frequent? No, let's be honest. But some of us still use it, but it is niche.
There you go.
Good info.
Yeah.
Switching gears over to 5G as we're coming down on the last few minutes of the show, are there any phones using 5G yet? Life Improvements asks, I wonder what was struggling the most that'll benefit from 5G? I think we've talked about automated cars a lot. Yeah, and then Bailey's asking, who controls 5G?
The 5G cabal.
Yes.
Yes. They sit across from the Bluetooth,
The
people.
guys.
They all go
They
out
actually,
to beers.
Yeah, they shared office space because it's
They have a
budgets are tight.
WeWork. They go to.
So I'll try to take all those questions. Well, in terms of there is like the 3G PP standard. There is like an industry group of multiple companies that get together and kind of work on a common standard. The standard is called 5G NR. NR stands for New Radio. You don't really need to know that. All you need to know is that that's what everyone has sort of agreed to. What Verizon has is a slightly different one. It's the 5G TF, or I think Technical Forum standard, which is their own proprietary thing.
Leave it to Verizon.
Yeah, I know. What were some of the other questions? There were so many.
Are there any phones that currently use 5G?
There are no phones. There are definitely no 5G smartphones that will be coming out this year. You're looking at probably sometime in the first half, maybe even the first quarter of next year. But it's still kind of unclear. I think Sprint and LG have committed to being the first here in the U.S. to have a smartphone that runs on 5G. But they're all going to come out in fairly short order. I think there's even some rumors that Samsung's next flagship phone, the Galaxy S10 or maybe the S10 Plus, will have 5G. You have to imagine, though, that just like in the early days of 4G, these phones might be a little bit bulkier. The battery life might not be that great. I think the first generation of 4G phones were really kind of terrible in terms of the experience. So
First G, if anything's kind of terrible.
Exactly. So you have to imagine that that first run 5G phones may not be so great.
Running out of time, what is the current minimum wage in the U.S., and will Amazon customers feel any residual effects from the raise that the employees got?
The current U.S. federal minimum wage is $7.25. That hasn't been raised since 2009.
Wow.
Whether customers are going to feel any residual impacts from this, I feel like that's probably unlikely. It's such a big company. And Amazon already claims that its full-time employees, when you include incentives and bonuses, those full-timers already get $15 or more. So are you going to see prices creep up? Yeah, probably, but for other reasons, like
Not
inflation.
necessarily for this, right.
Not necessarily for this, but for like reasons of
Tariffs.
inflation or tariffs.
Yeah, we've got all kinds of other reasons.
Yeah, or just the fact that like Amazon's such a big retailer now that it could raise prices because people use it for convenience. So if you do see prices go up, I wouldn't immediately point to the higher wages and claim that that's the reason. So it's like with a lot of things, it's probably got a lot of factors attached to it.
And last but not least, from our buddy Srinjoy, the in-screen reader was expected, headphone jack exclusion was not. Any scoop on the improvement in charging since sister brand Oppo upgraded to Super VOOC charging? And I just want to go ahead and put it out there, we need to start calling it Super VOOC going forward.
There is dash charging. I don't think it's gotten the improvement that you referenced, but I think we'll find out later this month when the phone actually launches. So we've gotten they fed us bits of information with this interview, but we'll get the full story next few weeks.
Thanks, guys, and thanks to the audience, as always, for joining us. One more well wish to Mr. APEC. We hope to see you back in the chat soon. Take care. We'll be ready for you. And we'll see all guys tomorrow. We'll be back, same bat time, same bat channel. Roger?
Yep, 359 is available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, FeedBurner, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts, the Amazon Alexa, and of course, CNET.com.
Not SoundCloud.
Dang it.
It's
I got
okay.
it wrong.
It's okay.
See y'all tomorrow.
Later.
SoundCloud.